what's up? This is Tajai of the Mighty Souls of Mischief crew. I'm chilling with my man Phesto, my man A+, and my man O. You know he's dope. And right now, we're just maxing in the studio. We're hailing from East Oakland, California, and sometimes it gets a little hectic out there. But right now, we gonna up you on how we just chill.
Souls of Mischief are one of the defining golden era hip-hop acts. Their single 93 Till Infinity encapsulated jazzy styles, warm boom-bap production and a group aesthetic that demonstrated the best of the era. It's since been sampled or referenced in over 40 tracks as a key example of that time. 93 Till Infinity, the album, is consistently impactful even now and provided a stark contrast to the G-funk and gangster rap so prevalent on the West Coast in that period. The crew also pioneered an unprecedented deal to keep their publishing rights, which was a first for rappers in the industry. Hailing from Oakland, California, A+ and Tajai rapped together in high school before hooking up with Opio and Phesto to become Souls of Mischief. Along with Del, the Funky Homo Sapien, Pep Love, Casual and Domino, the Hieroglyphics Collective was established. Their own label was founded in '95 to cultivate the artists, and they even developed a forward-thinking internet presence to sell their own merch. All this and their annual Hiero Day since 2012. Their friendship in the wider community of the Hieroglyphics Collective has seen them through 30 years, marked with a 93-date tour across the world, followed by the full crew touching down in many places for the first time. To accompany their 3 dates in Manchester, we invited the Souls to sit down at Low 4 Studios in the heart of the city.
Souls of Mischief, welcome to Manchester.
Thank you.
Amazing to have you here. Ded Luvly and Souls of Mischief at Low 4 Studios. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves, guys.
My name is Tajai, 1/4 of the Souls of Mischief. I see.
Hello, I'm A+, Souls of Mischief.
Peace, Opio.
What's up, y'all? Phesto D.
Let's give it up. Give it up, Souls of Mischief. Thank you very much. So, welcome to Manchester, and I know you've timed this really well. I've got some good news for you because tomorrow is the UK Hiero Day, because we have our date the other way around, yeah? So 9th of March tomorrow, 9/3 tomorrow. So welcome. That's why, obviously, why you've got 2 gigs tomorrow. And I know the rest of the tour is just like it's a fallacy. You're just going to go sightseeing for the rest of the tour because tomorrow's going to be the culmination of it all. Yeah, secret Hiero Day. So how's Hiero Day going post pandemic? Let's dive straight into that. Then we'll come back to some other things. But Hiero Day itself, coming back in September. Is that right?
Oh yeah. We had one last year, and we have one coming up this year. So we only had one virtual. I guess that was 2020 when we all were locked down. But after that, we started doing them publicly and, just allowing more space in the footprint so people can spread out a little bit. But it's been going well. I mean, we had Cool G Rap, Master Ace, Keisha Cole, all kind of people last year, Hieroglyphics. So this year we're trying to make it even better.
Now, we'll come back to talking about Hiero Day and community and a lot of those themes a little bit later on, but 93 dates, and when I've looked at some of your past tours, you've done a lot of dates in the past. There's been 50 dates here, 30 dates there. Does it feel like an amazing feat, or does it feel like another day at the office?
Well, we're not really too far into it so far. I mean, it's been less than 2 weeks. Up to this point, it's been like touring has been in the past, although we do love coming out here, so it's different touring out here than it is in the United States. But I can't say it's I don't want to say it's another day in the office. It's refreshing after the world closed down to be back out in the world and doing our job again. But yeah, we're just grateful, thankful to be here.
Opio, whose idea was the 93 dates? Is it something that's been brewing for a while, or?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like to celebrate 93 Till Infinity, it just kind of just made sense, I think it felt like a pipe dream, something that wouldn't really come true, something to kind of aim for, but it actually came true. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of exciting to be able to see that people want to see us after 30 years. It's pretty incredible, and it's, I'm hyped. So,
yeah, shout out 360 Entertainment for making it happen. They're from here, from here.
Manchester organization.
Yes.
And to give you your flowers, it was actually Tajai's idea. So,
Okay. the architect of the.
Well, he thought it up. He said we should do 93 dates, and we were like, yeah, whatever. Like he said, he's like, yeah, we're gonna get 90. You're gonna put together 93 dates, but it came together.
Didn't plan a holiday in the middle of it.
No, we do. We got some breaks.
Okay, right. It's also the 50th year of hip hop, so the timing on that is great. Do you feel any weightier with the 30 years and the 50 years? Phesto, I'll direct that one to you. Does it feel any different? Do you feel like the message is being spread to new people almost, like a new generation?
Judging from like what I've seen so far with our audience, I think it is, because it's people of all. You can see the generations. The young folks are in the front. The 30 to the 25 to 35 they're in the middle, and then you got the OGs in the back. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Babysitter is calling. So,
well, let me read you a little email that my friend. You played Sheffield the other night. My friend's a teacher at college, and he got this email. Hi, sir. I won't be in today's lesson because I couldn't give up the one in a lifetime chance. That's the typo. His typo, of seeing Souls of Mischief. And by the way, it was so amazing. Tajai brought the energy like crazy. And then there was 6 photos of the night, but he didn't turn up to class the next day. That's an 18-year-old. That's an 18-year-old student.
The kids are gonna be all right. The kids are gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing as sampling. I can't name that guy, but crossing the generations. And for Souls of Mischief to be this, for him to call it a once in a lifetime chance.
I mean, it's unbelievable, but at the same time, it does make sense because those records we wrote when we were their age. So I can see why it does translate to people that age. I feel like they're probably going through a lot of the same things that we went through when we were their age.
I guess the ease of access for things, it's not just down to like people finding the CDs and finding the wax now. You've got streaming so that people can access things kind of more instantly. But obviously, the track itself, 93 Till Infinity, which we'll talk about, you kind of captured and channeled that, the age that you were on that, and that's translated. Even when you perform it tonight, you're still capturing that essence of youth. Would that be fair to say? Is that what you feel about that?
It captures the whole attitude that we had at the time and the feelings that we had. We had been dreaming of being in that position up to that point, and we got there, and we were like, we're gonna be here forever. And you know how young people are brash and confident and driven, and at that age you have all that energy, and that's where we were at. That's what we put down. It wasn't anything more than us just being who we were at the time.
So it's kind of well documented that originally it was 91 Till Infinity. It was a different beat, and then took that beat and made it
91 Till Infinity. The song was never actually created. Mm-hmm. The beat was made. I made the beat, and I wrote a rap to the beat, and I read it to the fellas, and I actually shed a tear or two when I read it because it was about friendship and being together forever and all. It was it was a Crusader sample. It was a more somber, not I don't want to say somber, but kind of melancholy kind of track. It wasn't upbeat like the 93 Till Infinity ended up being. And it's a song that just never got done. I'm pretty sure I have the rap in one of my old folders somewhere. I know I have the beat somewhere on an old tape.
I was going to say, did anything ever happen with that beat?
Nothing ever happened with that track. I know I have it somewhere because I never throw away anything musical. I have all my old tapes, all my old CDs, all my old rap folders. Okay. So I know it exists somewhere. I just haven't went to dig it up just yet. I know where all my shit is. I just haven't gone through it yet. But the song never got done. And it just kind of got scrapped. This was like so much happened. It was a short amount of time, but so much happened for us musically from that time that song just kind of got forgotten about. And then when we were in the studio, I brought it back up. It was like, hey, we should, and then that was that.
And you sped up that sample because of limited time in the sample,
I sped up the sample because back then the sample machines only had a certain amount of sampling time in them, and it was kind of a cheat code to have more time to sample music to manipulate into the machine. You sample it on 45 with the Q all the way up, with the speed all the way up on the turntable, and it just allowed you to have, and then you slow it back down to whatever pitch tempo you needed it to be at, but it just allowed you to have more time. So, for instance, something that's 10 seconds on 45, you slow it down and you have I don't know, 17 seconds worth of music in the machine, even though it only took 10 seconds out of it, or, just for a comparison. So it was just a trick that I used to do in production back then. And because of the limitations of the machine, I would listen to my albums that I bought. I would listen to them first on 33, and then I would also listen to them on 45. And that was just something I did. I didn't learn that from anybody else. That was something I just did on my own. And it was no big deal. It was just a way so I could have more time and more shit to work with, And
obviously the energy of that track, I'm presuming you guys just started writing to it straight away when you said, we've got to have this.
Well, I originally had given the beat to Pep Love because we were pretty much done with our album. But when we were in the studio making our album, I was still going home every day making beats just based off of the energy from being in the studio. I would still be working when I went home. And so I would make beats when I got home. And I figured we didn't need it. We had our shit sold up. We had the beats that we were using. This and that, and Pep Love, he's a close friend of all of ours, and he would be around a lot, and you know what I'm saying, and yeah, I was like, this would be dope for him. This would be dope for you, and then, but I also like to play my shit to people. I played to the fellas and stuff, and when I played it at the studio, they were like, yo, we got to use that for the record, and I was like, all right, let's use it. It wasn't like, it was. I like all of my creations, It wasn't like I got a winner here, I got a fucking hit. It was just another beat that I made that I thought was dope. I think I'm dope. I thought it was just another day at the office for me. But when cats said they liked it, I was like, word, it's no big deal. I guess we got to take it back from Pep, So, but Pep is being a cool guy. He really didn't have the beat for long to where he really got married to it or nothing. It was really probably a matter of hours or half a day or something like that. So we ended up using it. And then when we were done with the song, well, they liked the beat. So we sat down and wrote it to it immediately at that point. Okay. And then when the song was done, then we realized we had something. When the song was done, it was like, oh, damn.
Back in the day, of course, it was about the video. So the video was a little bit different, a little bit fresh, in a different way to other hip hop that was going on. Could you elaborate on that, Tajai?
Oh, yeah. The video, rest in peace, Michael Lucero. He was a guy who did a bunch of Dell videos and also the 93 Till video.
Usher
videos, too.
Busta
Rhymes. Who else? Stress video, Alcoholics, a lot of people. Organized Confusion, Stress, Digital Underground. But basically, when we were young, we used to smoke weed a long time ago. No, and we used to always go to these spots that were like, nature spots, right? So we go up to the hills to smoke and all that. I mean, we live in California, Oakland, California. The Bay Area is beautiful. So I think Michael Lucero was like, hey, let's lean into that rather than leaning into the urban portion of it. Mm-hmm. And we went to Yosemite. We went to Pinnacles National Park. We went to the beach out in San Francisco and stopped at a few places along the way and just, filmed. I think it was the contrast between sort of the fresh, young hip hop clothes, gear type thing, with the environment behind us that sort of created the right landscape for the music to sort of breathe, and I think that made a big impression upon the people at the time because it was opposite of what was going on when everybody was like, Carhartt jacket. Beanie, bats and all that kind of stuff. Sewer, boondocks, loading dock, parking lots, graffiti, whatever.
Train tracks.
That was hip hop. Everything in hip hop was that. So it was refreshing. What's a trip is a lot of the young people ain't never seen the video. A lot of our young fans have never seen the video, or when they do see the video, they don't think it was 30 years ago. They'd be like, oh, you grew your beard. I'm like, yeah, I grew a lot more than a beard. And now God is my barber rather than extra large, So it really opened it up, I think, at that time and added to the timelessness of it. But it's weird because I think now the video is not as important as the audio as far as to the new people discovering it.
And I guess the way that people did hear the audio was by requesting the video or seeing it on video channels at the time. Pre-YouTube, that was where people were hearing it if it wasn't radio. Would it be fair to say that your guys' open-mindedness in the very, very early days, which led to you expanding the group with Opio and then Phesto, has that open-mindedness kind of carried through your career, and is that part of the secret of the success of Souls of Mischief? Is open-mindedness and communication and kind of honesty? Are those values that you would say kind of carry you through?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, you have to be open to experimentation, and especially if you're in the collaborative process, you got to be open-minded to other people's ideas and be flexible.
When you first came on Opio, obviously Tajai and A+ were kind of a unit already. How easy was that transition into growing into a three?
It felt like I had found a home, because I was just kind of floating. You know what I mean? I went to junior high school with Casual, and Casual was just like this incredible force of nature, just a lyrical beast. He was the best rapper in my junior high school, and he encouraged me to pursue rapping, because I kind of kicked one of my little raps to him, and he was like, "Oh, that's dope. You should just keep practicing at it. You'll get better," and blah, blah, blah. And then he introduced me to A+, I think. And then A+ just immediately brought me in under his wing, and took a little bit of convincing Tajai.
That's a job application.
That was it was a wild time. So that was at a time when, when you're young, 1 year, 2 years, everything changes in your life, right? So I remember what we said, Brand Nubian was just coming out, right? And that was like the new flavor, twisties, dreads, colorful, Asics, you know what I mean? Dancing and all that. And Run DMC was kind of on the decline. And I remember I was like, well, we could be Brand Nubian or we could be Run DMC. You know what I'm saying? And now looking at it 30 years later, I mean, this is a 2-3 year period in which this sunrise
the formative time.
Yeah. So it was crazy, but
and this
it didn't take a lot of convincing. Once I heard him rap, it was like, oh yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah. And with these are the minds of kids. We're
Little
kids at this time. You know what I'm saying? So
Phesto, were you slightly older? Was there another couple of years then till Phesto came on, or was it like another year or so?
Like 1 year, huh?
yeah, 1 year, yeah.
So how was that going into an established unit?
I mean, it was like we were all hanging out together. So it wasn't like it was like they just met a new person. And
right.
you know what I mean? Like we all live in the same neighborhood. I knew Tajai from junior high, actually. And then we went to separate high schools, but we maintained contact through other friends. And then I knew Dell because Dell lived probably the closest to me than everybody else.
Dell had the video games. What
So,
system?
yeah,
was
he's
it?
talking about me and sleeping on my couch video.
Okay.
No, he's talking about all of us. But it was a little easier. I think my transition into the group was a little easier. It was just kind of like, oh, you're born in April too? We're all born in April.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're in the group. A+ was the one that kind of ushered, the idea of me joining the group. Okay. But I felt like it was like we kind of were already a crew, even though it hadn't been like solidified yet.
So cousins or brothers?
Big families, so probably cousins.
Yeah. Well, some of you are 1 day apart, aren't you? What are your actual birthdays, Tajai?
15th, 21st, 22nd, 29th.
Wow. Okay. And you're on tour in April, so that'll be hard being away from family, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but we're with family when we're out, so that it kind of fills in the blank. I mean, we travel a lot. We in the course of our career, we've been on the road in April plenty of times, but we're always together. So, we're not at home, we're not with our family, but we have a family with us. So,
and somebody always brings a cake on the.
Someone always brings a cake.
Souls of Mischief cake. So.
Well, you know what? My next question is actually about food. Because thinking about you guys, like you two spending a lot of time together when you were really young, and you obviously got Japanese heritage, Jamaican heritage, there's all sorts going on then. That got me thinking about kind of like the food I've heard you talk about like the food you used to take to school, Tajai, and then what you were eating at each other's houses, and then how that expanded in that community. How important was food in all this? I know on tour, it's probably not got a chance to cook. Do any of you cook at home? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays you can get some decent Jamaican food out and about. Back then, not so much unless you went to New York.
So what kind of food when you were little? When
I
you
grew
were
up on Jamaican cuisine, 100%. I would only eat other food when I went to other people's houses. I eat Japanese food at his house. But I would eat. It was Jamaican cuisine every day.
And Tajai a mix, was it?
Yeah, it was Japanese food or soul food, or I'd eat at A+'s house and get the spinners and the bami and the, callaloo and ackee and saltfish, all the good stuff, you know what I'm saying? But let's be real, Opio's mom is lightweight a chef.
Real
Real
talk.
Be exposing us to stuff that we, first time I ever had a creme brulee with the, you know what I'm saying? No, the top, all.
Yeah, my mom get busy.
Nah, like she would do they have all this TikTok charcuterie boards and all that kind of stuff. We go to their house on parties and
It was different.
A spread.
It was different. It was different from what we were used to. It was a whole new world. For real. She cut it up.
Was there a favorite house to go to when you were that age?
Oh, man.
Is that too
That's
controversial?
impossible.
It was
Yeah.
different. It was different. They'll have the video games. Ope had the orange light, so we could play. His room was kind of separate from everybody in the house, so we could stay up late playing games there. A Plea had the music equipment and all the vinyl and stuff like that. Fest had this room called the Rumpus Room, right? So it was like the whole bottom of the house, so he could have like 10 people over, So it was different vibes. And the only thing I would say that's crazy about that is we used to be walking,
Yeah.
all like through the hills and everything, running. Like I'll be there in 10 minutes. No cell phones, nothing. Be there in 10 minutes. Run through hills and trees and all kind of stuff to get to each other's houses.
Were you driving Phesto at the time? You used to
I
hop
was the
in
first. I
hop
think
in
I was the
car.
first one driving. So that was 16, 15,
Hyromobile.
14, 13.
I think I've heard you say, I just used to get in the car and roll down. It was fine, not legal, but fine sort of thing.
Not
Yeah.
really. Big brother, blame it on him.
Yeah.
Giving me the keys too early.
When we talk about video games and Dell having those, what system are we talking?
Dell had
everyone.
Dell had every system. Dell had every system.
Dalmatians and video games.
Yeah,
He
that
wanted
was
those, wasn't it?
that was one of his job. That was
Yeah.
his neighborhood job. Was
Yeah.
walking. What was Sweatpants was the name of the Dalmatian, the main Sweatpants. But yeah, he had every system. Growing up, all the way from elementary school with Atari and Pong, he had every system, for real.
Turbo Graphics,
Yeah.
Jaguar,
Yeah,
all of
ColecoVision.
ColecoVision.
He had a TI 99 4A personal computer back in the day. Back when people didn't even know what a PC was. Yeah.
Was comics something you guys were into at the
Oh,
time
yeah.
as well? What
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
stuff was that? Was that a Marvel thing or?
Yeah, mostly Tajai had some DC titles.
Batman, Blue Beetle.
The graphic novels though.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
The Brave and the Bold collections they used to do at that time as well. Used to be into that influenced you in any hip hop superhero type thing. There's a little bit of rapper pseudonym thing throughout the years that people have kind of succumbed to. Has that been part of your psyche?
If you listen back, I think you can hear a few X-Men references and Spider-Man references and things like that. Be it
Captain
Marvel
Tajai.
Universe, all of that stuff is definitely interwoven into our catalog over the years. So, yeah, I think we can all agree we were influenced by that to some degree.
I don't want to sound like an old ass man, but these were the outlets that we had. I mean, TV was like 3 channels and it went off at a certain time and just had like a rainbow or the American flag on it all night. It sounds like a long time ago. It wasn't really. So comic books, kung fu movies, anything that stimulated your imagination, Ultraman, the kaiju stuff, like anything that stimulated your imagination beyond just, the news and sitcoms. I think all the hip hop, the original hip hop generation was into because it was, a pretty, not boring existence, but it when I look at all the stimulation that our kids have, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
iPad, iPod, phone, movies, MCU movies, DC, all these things, we had to imagine all that
We used
stuff.
to dream of
Yeah, we had to
those
dream about
films,
it.
yeah.
And I think hip hop is an extension of that. Us having these sort of alter egos where we have larger than life personas and abilities is an extension of that. So I think most rappers, comic books is just if not, you're just going to read a book. There were 4 or 5 cartoons. Cartoons stopped at 4:30, 5 o'clock. It was news until the end of the night. It was a different world. I mean, it sounds like the dark ages, y'all, I know, but it wasn't that long ago. But it really used to be like at a certain point you had to use your imagination. The stuff that was going to stimulate your mind, or that it stopped. It cut off. So you'd wake up early in the morning, watch cartoons, watch Kung Fu in the afternoon, watch your MTV raps, I guess, and then use your brain.
That sense of kind of going around each other's houses, being part of each other's families, and that kind of community sense, you kind of carried forward into High Road Day. From what I understand, like the vendors there are local, you'll know people, you'll know pretty much the people that provide the infrastructure. You're providing a platform for up and coming artists as well as established artists. Could you give us a kind of notion of what that day is like for us as a Manchester audience, and not understanding what it's like to come from there? Give us like a snapshot of a High Road Day. Or a High Road Day weekend, is it a couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at least the very first one that we ever did, it was all of our closest friends. So everybody that we went to high school with, and just like, they got kids, and, it was a real family affair. And I think from there, it just kind of just grew out into that, and it got bigger, but it still has that same energy. Like it's a celebration. It's called High Road Day, but it's not really about us. It was always about all of the other people that helped us to come up and be who we were today. And so Oakland has always supported us incredibly, just the way that we get support from the community. They always showed us a lot of love and protect us if anybody ever says anything disparaging about Souls of Mischief online or whatever. People just, come to our defense. But I feel like it's more a celebration about the community and all of the people that have supported us over all the years that we've been doing this. So it's kind of like our way to give back to those people.
Talking about online, back in '95, you guys sought out a fan who had a website. Chatted to Stinky. Chatted to Stinky. Is Stinky still involved?
Stinky is like he has a musical thing going on under the name Yamin. He's a photographer. I think he works in tech, but he was on it early. He was a kid, so he's not involved directly, but he's always out there.
Okay, his soul is still there.
Yeah, I got music with him. We did the song like recently, so we still are in contact for sure.
And the website still exists, but wind it back to. I'm going to talk about social media, taken away from websites in a second, but winding it back to like '95, and obviously a lot of people didn't have the internet. You maybe had the internet at work. So how much of a risk was it? Was that like a group decision to say, right, we're going to put tapes and merch on a website to sell, or were there kind of other options to you? Because obviously once you parted ways with Jive, you were like, right, we're going to do this, and you pioneered this way before anyone else did it. How difficult was it? I imagine there was a forum, you had fans there, that's how you connected. In my head, that's how you kind of announced shows, and did it kind of build and snowball from there? What was the kind of process, and how difficult was it, and how worrying was it in terms of your carrying your careers on?
We were still, you think about 1994, when we met Stinky in 95, we were 19 years old, 20 years old. So thinking about career and all that kind of stuff was not on our mind.
Right.
Thinking about being 25 was like, oh, I'll be dead by then. Not because of dangerous streets, just a 25-year-old is an old person to somebody who's 19, right? So it was really just, hey, this is a new outlet for us to send our stuff to. Send stuff out with. It was exciting. It wasn't. The people who had the internet got it. And the crazy part about the internet is, people had it all over the earth. So people started buying from Iraq and, all over. So it actually, I think, gave us a lot of hope, because we were able to connect directly with fans that we thought we may have lost after not being on a major label and not being on that same platform, And it's even now with the streaming, like they play you once on the radio. They play us maybe once on the radio, once a day, one time on Earth somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, so maybe, 5 million people, if you're even listening to terrestrial radio anymore, which nobody does, maybe, 5 million people might hear us once a day, one time. We get 1 million streams, what was it, 1 million streams a week or something like that? Something crazy, like 1 million streams a week. But that's because people can that's one song, right? people can directly access it. So the concept of direct access was really exciting then, you know. And then we also put inside of our records, like you could send a check in.
Okay.
And then
It was checks, of
yeah,
course,
it was checks.
yeah.
There was no digital currency or anything like that. So it was, you send a check, and we would sit at first it was my mom's house, then we got an office, then we bought a building and stuff these envelopes and send these tapes and CDs out. But that, you know, now it's all digital. It's way easier. But it was the same concept then, just selling to your fans direct and making sure that you're servicing them in a proper manner so that they don't walk away with a bad experience with you. But it was exciting. Nothing was like, oh, we can't.
Yeah, it wasn't worrisome at all. There was the only thing that was really worrisome at that time was how are we gonna connect with our fans without the platform, without the marketing money from the company. The internet was quite the opposite of worrisome in that aspect because it was a means to reach these people. So it was, like you said, more exciting than anything.
And we were booking shows with the fans that hit us up on the internet. So some of these promoters who now own clubs, own buildings, all that kind of stuff, their first show was Hyro. You know, like they were a kid just like us. And, hey, we're going to throw a Hyro show. We probably did it for rooms or something like that, or rooms and some alcohol, you know. And it grew from there. But, I mean, a lot of these guys now own the club that they threw their first show in, or own the block that the club is on that they threw the first show in. So it was a different time. It's really hard to imagine the world without the internet, especially if you grew up in the world with the internet. But it was hella exciting. There was nothing worrisome about it. Like you said, the worst part was, how are we going to get on television? And during that time, the box, which Viacom purchased and shut down, even though it was profitable, made it possible for people to choose what they wanted to see. And I think without the box, and that's when you lost on the box and the 93 till on the box, we wouldn't be where we are now, because it's the original YouTube kind of thing, right? Where you could choose what you original on demand, right?
I always found it ironic / sickening that the Jive weren't saying, you know, we want more of the same from you guys. And like, obviously, come 1995 and No Man's Land, you came back with this, you know, harder album. Was that a response to kind of people biting you, or was it a response to the record label? What kind of time period are we in there?
Well,
that happened a couple times. It happened before our first record, and it happened after our first record. So I think initially, I don't think labels actually know what they want. I think they're just like, they look at sales. They came from marketing school, and they're doing, you know, what we call analytics now. That's what they're doing back then. So they don't really have any temperature on where hip hop is going. They only know where it came from and where it is, and we're a bunch of forward-thinking musicians who are like, we're taking it over here. So it's no way they could really quantify what we were trying to do at the time, before on the first record. Then after we came out, first of all, they wanted to release Cat Fear, right? So they tried to get the sample cleared. The song was produced by Bob James. Bob James did not clear the sample. Or whoever the publisher was at the time didn't own the sample, so they didn't clear it. So they encouraged us to do more music, and then we went in and we did 93 Till Infinity. So then on the next record, they tried to clear it again, and they found out, Bob James said, "Yeah, you guys can do it," and then they found out that he didn't even own the sample. It was also owned by Paramount, right? So even though he cleared his portion, there was another percentage that had to be cleared that didn't get cleared, so we couldn't use it again. So that's when we got it kind of into the whole,
and on top of that,
rabbit hole with the label not really wanting us to put out music the way that we wanted to put it out. So we just did what we wanted to do at that point because the relationship has soured. Sorry, please go ahead.
They specifically wanted us to go pop too. They didn't want, like you said, more of the same. They didn't ask for more of the same. They asked for pop music specifically.
Yeah,
they had signed Backstreet Boys.
Well, I was going to say that.
Britney Spears. They had the first rap Grammy is Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince on the label. So they were going in that direction.
Yeah, they Jive at the time. They were the boy band label.
Yeah, I mean that's what they wanted us to be, was like kind of like a boy band, but we were young, so they were like, you guys are kids, so it was like to market us as these children, and in our mind we were like, we just graduated high school, we're adults.
Is
So,
that
I
why
mean-
No Man's Land sounded a little bit older?
Well, I think it was like a backlash because they were literally in the office saying, they said, we want you to sound like Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, a la Boom Boom Shake the Room, that
Not
era.
even- yeah, not even
they,
the good
they
Jazzy
they said Boom Boom Shake the Room, and they furthermore they said if we didn't do that, they would shelve our record.
Yeah.
So that has to be put into the equation as to how the second album turned out.
As in release.
Like we would have made more of the same if they didn't say none of that fuck shit. You know what I mean?
I think also sample clearance ate up so much of our first budget, and these guys are talented musicians in their own right. And hip hop is all about chopping things up, so they started to get more into playing their own music, doing their own thing. So there were probably a lot fewer samples on the second album for economic reasons, and also because these dudes were growing musically. Like people try to play hip hop like we're not musicians, and it's like, nah, that's not true. And if you look at any of these producers, like what they're doing, even with the chop samples or even with loops, there's musical ability involved. So at that time, I mean, Opio produced the lead single. Like we had these dudes that been able to purchase now their own equipment and sort of start doing their own thing. So there was a lot going on. We were growing up, literally and figuratively. And I think that album, if you listen back to No Man's Land, to me, I think it's aged very well. Like I think if you listen to it, the flows that are on there, the style of beats and all that are current right now, as far as, and I think it doesn't get its true fair, it doesn't get to be able to be judged fairly because it's coming after 93 Till Infinity, which some people say is, one of the best hip hop records ever. So it's difficult to even put, when you have two kids and one is, Super Bowl champion and the other one's still in the NFL, you know what I'm saying, though, and doing okay. He's a nose tackle or something, you know what I'm saying? It's y'all don't care about football. You know what I'm saying, though? You have someone who's in the Premier League.
Wrong sport.
But he's not a striker. And you have somebody else who's won the World Cup, you know what I'm saying? Sorry about that.
I mean, David Axelrod is one person who's got a great attitude to what artists have done with his music, and Bob James now does Tracklib and gets all those samples out there for people. The environment is 100% different from what it was back in the day.
Yeah, because if you're getting paid millions for doing it,
yeah.
you change your attitude. Yeah. And I think also, to his credit, he's changed his attitude and had to look at it like, okay, there is artistry involved in this, but there's also dollars and cents involved in it too. So I think a lot of the older artists, look at David Axelrod and certain people, they do have a respect for the artistry behind it, but a lot of them are just like, you paying for my new condo. I'm not about to come out against you, So
Let me say this too, like the concept of people redoing or repurposing other people's music is not exclusive to hip hop. People have been doing that since ragtime music. They've been taking other tunes, it goes on in classical music, it goes on in jazz music, it goes on in soul music. So it's not something that's exclusive to hip hop. So I'm all for artists getting their due, what they deserve. But I think that what hip hop does is a little bit different. You know what I mean? When you take something and completely just repurpose it and turn it into something else, it's not like you're just rapping over the song. You're taking it and it becomes something completely different. So, yeah, I do think that this is no like knock on Bob James. Bob James should get his credit for anything that he's created and he's produced, and any other artist should as well. But it shouldn't. The label, it was really just scared of like, oh my God, we're gonna get sued because of the things that had transpired a couple of years before with, like, everybody knows what happened with Biz Markie, right? When Biz Markie had I'm drawing a blank on the album name right now. Yeah, I Need a Haircut, when that got pulled off the shelf, and I believe the same thing happened with there was a De La sample, I think that with the Turtles joint, I think that happened with too. So it was just in that time period as like labels started to get, walk on eggshells with certain kind of samples. Yeah,
the grand scheme that 25 records have been sampled in one song sort of thing. So obviously, very sadly, we've just lost Dave, De La Soul's Dave, and on the 3rd of March, their back catalogue was released, and we were just chatting about this downstairs that you won't have had time to hear it yet, being on tour, but 3 Feet High and Rising has been re-released, and a lot of the samples have been replayed or omitted, and the album is a different album than what came out back in '89.
Should have bought the record.
I just wondered what, I guess, your opinion on that was in terms of they've had obviously full involvement with it, with sample clearance people, but they've not been able to reproduce the record exactly as it was. Is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? Does it not matter?
I mean, I think, like what Phesto said, I think people should get their credit if you sample. You know, if you sample something from somebody, they should get their credit. And you know, the way the world works, they get to negotiate what that is, and that's just the way it is. You know, I don't think you should be able to just sample anybody and just use it all frivolously however you want and not give them any credit. I don't think so. I just believe that at the time of 3 Feet High and Rising, it was a brand new thing. It was a brand new concept, a brand new part of the industry. Sample clearance wasn't a thing until those things happened. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, that album and those albums were on the ground floor of the whole situation, and that's why 3 Feet High and Rising is going through this kind of stuff. And that's to no fault of De La Soul, who are our brothers and loved ones. But it makes sense, you know, if they want to put it back out and they can't get the samples cleared, and the people don't want to clear the samples, it costs too much, play some new shit and put it out. I mean, what can you do? Such is life.
They tried that with Cab Fair and Step to My Girl with us. I will say this. Yeah, always give people credit for what you're sampling. If somebody says, hey, you can't use my shit, respect that. It's theirs. They created it. It came out of their body. You know what I'm saying? It's like their child. Sometimes more important to them than their child. I will say this, though. A record is a record, right? It's called a record. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like how we have records, medical records, but it's a record. So what's out that's new is a different thing, right? And this is the world we kind of live in now. It's almost like being able to edit your tweets or edit your Insta post or whatever. We're basically walking on a bridge that disappears behind us as we keep going. And if we don't bring these records with us, we're not ever going to have whatever it was in its original form. Yeah. And I think that hip hop is the child of that, right? Bringing these records with us and saying, hey, I mean, we're recontextualizing the stuff and changing and moving around, but it's from previous records. It's built off what's previous. So we're getting into a world where, I mean, I have children in the younger generation. They'll tell me something about an event I was at, and it'd be wrong. You see what I'm saying? No, like, and I'll be like, yo, no, I was there. That didn't happen like that. And they'll say, but it says right here, it happened like that. That shit is scary to me. And I don't want to sound like an old kook or something. Like, you see what I'm saying? No, but that shit is scary to me because we're seeing history be revised in real time daily. Yeah. And that's the only thing I would say about that. Not the danger. I'm glad De La's catalog is available because they're the greatest rap group of all time, period. I'm just saying
Agreed.
That you gotta, when you see that vinyl, get it. Put it up. Treat it like what it is a special, a relic or a prize, because what you get, what the new thing you're getting is different. We see, I'm gonna shut up after this too, I promise. We see now with global inflation and all that, something that used to be 16 ounces might now be 15.6 ounces. So we're getting like a reduced and reconfigured and new Coke flavor of everything. And we're getting used to that. And I'm just saying, these are things that we need to sort of watch out for, because experiencing it in its true form as it was intended is a huge part of the experience, you know? And so just that's in general. That's not hip hop, that's not music in general. It's like we're on a bridge that's disappearing behind us as we're crossing it. And we're not gonna be able to go back unless we remember how to build these bridges or remember another alternate path, et cetera. All right.
Well, I imagine that in the same way that like Marvel will put She-Hulk out and then 2 weeks later they updated it. When it was streaming, they updated the effects. Kanye, I think it was Life of Pablo maybe, put that out, then updated it. There were 3 or 4 versions, you know, like a video game receiving updates. I imagine that 3 Feet High and Rising, the digital version, will receive updates over the next couple of years as samples clear and will change. So it's amazing that it's now a changing beast. It's not something that's constant, and I guess that's what you're referring to. Now, let me go back to the publishing with you guys. Was it one particular person that had that idea? Or did you get advice on that? Getting the publishing off Jive? And I imagine that's why they resented you as well at some point. How did that come about? Is that another pioneering kind of move?
I mean, my stepfather was a very well-known entertainment attorney. He represented Richard Pryor, Roberta Flack, Taj Mahal, countless people. So when we had an opportunity to sign our record deal, it was like he was an option for us, and we chose to go with him. And he, obviously, me being his stepson, he had a special interest in what was going on with us, so he pushed for that. He saw in the negotiation process, because he is a veteran and had done this before, that there were competing entities trying to sign Souls of Mischief.
It's a bidding war type thing.
A bidding war, exactly. And so he just used that to our advantage, and was like, both record companies were giving us exactly what we wanted. So he was like, well, we'll just ask for the publishing and see if they go for that. And they did. So, to his credit, he was the one that came up with that. I mean, all we wanted to do was put the music out. It was like I don't even think we really understood the magnitude of it, honestly. But he did,
and
thankfully.
The knock-on effect of that was that kind of, I guess, drove your knowledge through independence.
Yeah, well, that too. But also, like, our experience on tour with A Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul, we actually had a one-on-one interaction with the crowd, with the people. So we saw that there were people out there that were in love with our music. It wasn't because the record label had put us out or whatever. They had this very strong connection to what we were doing. Then you just start to do some simple math. Like, okay, well, they're giving us 80 cents a record, but if we go independent, we can get $7 a record. You know what I'm saying? So then, that means that you only have to sell X, Y, Z amounts of albums. You know what I'm saying? So along with his tutelage, there was also just like real life experience that we had, and we saw a clear pathway to independence from going on tour.
Phesto, that tour with De La and Tribe, what lessons did you learn as young men, kind of going on various tour dates? Were there lessons that were learned then that you still carry through now, or is it an ever growing experience?
Definitely lessons that we learned on that tour that are just part of our DNA now. Just to see a group like De La go on before A Tribe Called Quest and just like kill it, you know what I'm saying? Every single night, like, and then Tribe having to follow De La every single night. Just taught us so much. Just watching them. We watched every night. We didn't it's not like we performed and all right, good night, we'll see you guys tomorrow. No, we watched every night. With the exception of maybe one or two nights where we had other things to do, but if we were there, we were watching them. And we were watching them when they checked into the hotel, when they checked out of the hotel, and definitely sound check. I would say sound check, we probably learned the most. Okay. Because we learned this is the prep time, So if it's like painting, you know what I'm saying? If your prep game ain't right, it's gonna be a tacky paint job, you know what I'm saying? So every night they stepped to sound check. It was serious business. They didn't take it lightly, They still had fun in the process, but you could tell that it was a very serious thing for them to do every single night. And just the team that they kept with them. Like Dave, rest in peace, his brother was there, his cousin was there. Chris Lighty was like family to them, who was their manager at the time. Rest in peace to Chris Lighty. It just goes on and on. It's to this day, it's like I said, to this day, that's the standard we hold ourselves to. Seeing Tribe and De La rock every single night for, I want to say 50 dates, just taking it all in, being kids, taking it all in.
Yeah, rest in peace, Fife as well.
Rest in peace, Fife, definitely.
To wind things up a little bit, then, there's so much I've not touched upon. I wanted to talk to you about so much, and working with Adrian Young, working with Prince Paul. I guess actually I'll ask quickly, having so many, I think everybody produces, and you've got your Hyro crew, Hyro family around you. Was working with Prince Paul and working with Adrian, were they deliberately kind of stepping out of your comfort zone to expand yourselves? Was that a conscious kind of decision?
I guess we're always trying to do something different, and I think the essence of being like that brought us to those situations. Those were two different situations, and those are two separate geniuses, but it's kind of the same paradigm for us. We were just trying to do some new soul shit, you know, and work with excellence, you know, and the universe brought us to those situations.
Okay, and hip hop is 50. Any reflections on hip hop is 50? It's not a direct question. Anything that you've been reflecting on as we reach that? Is it something that is on your mind as you're on tour doing these 93 dates, or is it more of a personal thing? This is a Souls thing, or do you feel like you're representing the genre? How do you feel about the anniversary?
Yeah, I would say that hip hop to me still feels very young, even though it's 50 years old or whatever. But it's still it feels fresh and new. And I think with the fact that it's 50 years now, and for what people try to make it seem as hip hop is some ultra mainstream thing that you only can see on television and hear or whatever. It's so many amazing artists, you know, that really haven't been able to get their shine, you know. There's always been people that have always been pushing the envelope and doing things. And it's kind of like one of the things to me that I find very unfortunate is like it's almost like somebody has to die in order before they become celebrated. You know what I mean? Like Jay Dilla was doing his thing majorly. He was out, he was alive, you know what I mean? It doesn't take somebody like that to die in order to be celebrated. I feel like people should be celebrating those that are here now alive, you know what I mean? And give them their full flowers right now in the present time. You know what I mean? And also this conversation that, you know, somehow real hip hop only existed in the 90s. You know, that's just a false narrative. You know what I mean? And there are groups, you know, from that era now that are still making amazing music. You know what I mean? DITC put a record out not long ago. That was incredible. You know what I mean? It's not like you have to go to the 90s to hear quality music, even from people that you know and love and respect. So, I mean, I feel like, you know, in some sense, people want to try to make it seem like hip hop is old now, but to me, it feels like it's young still.
Super young. Everybody at our shows, super young. I think part of the Souls and Mischief's longevity or De La Soul's longevity is we still make records. Whether or not y'all hear them, that's on y'all. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. But just like everything is hip hop now. You know, I mean, they got people talking about post rap and all that. Man, you still making hip hop, even if it ain't no rhymes on it or if it's just samples and all that. So to me, like 50 years isn't even old for a musical genre. Like I think it's great to celebrate, but the fact that we have pioneers still alive is huge. And we can get the actual real history from them is huge. And the fact that, you know, my daughter is 11 and be freestyling, you know what I mean? And not because I'm a rapper. She don't even mess with me. She's like into that, what is it, kind of the calm beats, what ambient kind of beats? What's it called? Lo-fi. She's a lo-fi rapper. You know, but I'm saying like all these names that you're giving hip hop, that doesn't make it not hip hop. That's just a different bin in the record store, but it's all in the hip hop section. So it's continuously regenerating itself. I mean, there's so many people who have sampled 93 Till Infinity and are doing 23 Till and all this kind of stuff. Like it has the ability to recycle itself because it's made of recycled materials. You know, it's like made of steel or rubber or something. So 50 is great and it's a milestone. And I think we're looking at it in human terms. But when we're talking about cultural movements, 50 is young. You know what I'm saying? And when we think about a cultural movement, it might be 100 years old, 200 years old before it really gains ground and takes root and affects everybody. Look how much hip hop has done just in our lifespan. So I think there's a lot more that it can do and will do. And we need to stop even thinking in these sort of human body terms about age when you're talking about a cultural movement and something that means so much to so many people worldwide. You know, there's somebody right now who only has their phone and only has access to YouTube and all, and that music is saving their life right now. You know, the boom bap is saving their life, the drum, the lyrics, all that. So let's look at it as outside of these human year terms kind of thing.
I think about like KRS saying 50 years down the line, you could start this because we'll be the old school artists. Like if I think back, I can remember when I first heard that. You know what I mean? It doesn't looking back, it's not that long ago to me. You know what I mean? Looking forward, I was like we were talking about not being 19 and 20 years old or whatever. Looking forward, it seems like, oh my God, 50 years. But I mean, let's think about other aspects of art. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't refer to like Paul Cézanne as like a old school painter. You know what I mean? Pablo Picasso. They don't be like Beethoven's an old school. You know what I mean? Like, let's stop that. That's whack. Because dating the music and dating first of all, hip hop is a culture. I want to say that first. When we talking about the culture of hip hop. You're talking about a culture that started in the Bronx, that swirl all these other things swirling together that creates this thing in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? And the music and the dance and the dress and the graffiti art. And all these things coming together at once. That's what we celebrating, that right there, not just the music, you know what I mean? So we're celebrating the fact that that's still happening to this day. So I think, like, I'm just happy that we're still talking about this. My dad said it was a fad. My dad was like, that's not going to be here next year. He told me that, you know what I'm saying? My dad's a great guy. He's a former fire chief, great dude. But he was wrong. Hip hop's still here 50 years later, and it's still as strong as it's ever been, and it's still moving forward. It's still progressing. That's the main thing. It's not stagnant. You know what I'm saying? We got dope. Yeah, you got to sift through a lot of the roughage, but when you get to the cream of the crop, it's still artists out here that's smashing, raw, talented people, and I wish them nothing but the best.
Hey, plus any final words?
Oh man, I was thinking the same thing he was thinking about that KRS line. He's like, when KRS once said, he's like, rap on a whole isn't even 20 years old. 50 years down the line, we could start this and we'll be the old school artists. So, yeah, man, this is it's great to be this far, but and we shall continue. You know, it's like, I don't see anybody doing any of this shit with any of the other genres and putting too much on. It's something that happens with hip hop, and I think it's because of where hip hop is from and how it's come out and all of that. It's why it gets treated the way it does. Tajai said something earlier to me today. He was like, "Pop music ain't nothing but palatable, whitened up black music." You know what I'm saying? Basically. That's what pop music is, you know. And hip hop is one of those things that hip hop is going to be hip hop. It could get shined up and could have this commercial shit, and it has all of these aspects of it, all of these branches off of this tree. But this shit is still hardcore. This shit is still dusty, and it's still here, and this culture has literally engulfed the entire fucking world and changed it. Man, we were sitting talking. I was like, some of the words that people say, you don't even know that came from hip hop. It's just a normal word that people just say now. But there's so many words that I'm talking about the mainstream world. A bunch of their nuances, a bunch of their phrases, a bunch of the concept, just things they say, all comes from hip hop, dude. A lot of this shit comes from hip hop. I mean, it shall continue to influence the globe. It's saving millions of lives, millions and millions of lives, and. I was listening to Done by the Forces of Nature by the Jungle Brothers today. Such an incredible album. If y'all have never heard that album, listen to that album. That's hip-hop right there. 50 years.
Ded Luvly with Souls of Mischief at Low 4 Studio. Thank you very, very much, everyone. Again, enjoy UK High Road Day.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
One, two, three, go! $7 digits, call her Bridget, her man's a midget, but she got fringe, yo, I can dig it. Here's a 40 swigget, you know it's stringent. I got him chillin' in the cooler, break out the ruler. Damn! That's the baddest song I ever seen. The weather's keen in Cali, and we didn't makes it feel like Maui. Now we feel the good vibration. So many females, so much inspiration. Yeah. I get inspired by the blunt too. I front you if you hang with a bunk crew. I roam the street for phones a bit. When I find one, I'm gonna take her home and quickly do that. I need not explain this, it's cause it's famous. So get the A-O. Hey, miss, who's there? I'm through there, no time to do your hair. Flicks it ain't, get straight. You look great, let's grub now. A rub down sounds flavor later. There's the theater. We in the cut. The cinema. What? Mediocre, take her to the crib so I can stroke her. Kids, he broke for they skins when I'm in. Close range, I throws game, it's your dip like.
yeah, ball. The man's all that, all fat. I need a chill from 93 till.
This is how we chill from 93 till. This is how we chill from 93 till. This is how we chill from 93 till. This is how we chill from 93 till. Say this is how we chill from 93 till. Say this is how we chill from 93 till.
I be coolin', school's in session, but I'm freshin', rapping. So I take time off, but never rhyme song. I'm off on my own trip with these cats.
That's right.
How many back rows with a Phesto?
What?
Fold,
Hey,
brunch,
oh.
holding stunts captive with my persona. Plus a bomb assess 10. Y'all be testing my patience, but I stay fresh in.
Resting at the mall, attendance all noise. Simply shopping for my winter ex-boys. A few bits, some new kicks. I often do this cause it's the piss, not being dipped.
Flip the fire, attire females desire. Maybe you can step to me if you desire. The extraordinary dapper rap, I keep tabs on your main squeeze before I snatch up.
I'm attacker with that smoothness. I do this, people with my crew get
What's that,
now.
what?
Loot, props, respect, and blunts to pass.
What?
Who talk shit, but in my face they kiss my ass. They bite foes, but we make them new ones now.
Listen.
If they ain't signed, that don't mean they can't rhyme, but I get loot from hieroglyphics. I'm terrific, you will see, from now to infinity.
This is how we chill from 93 till.
This is how we chill from 93 till. This is how we chill from 93 till. This is how we chill from 93 till.
Everybody say,
this is how we chill from 93 till.
Come on,
Say this is how we chill from 93 till.
Yeah, much love, y'all.
One love, y'all.
One love.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you, Manchester. Go. Souls of Mischief. Hey. Hey.
Yeah, peace.
Hey. 30 years, baby.
Right.
Right on, man. Appreciate y'all. Thank you very much.
One love, y'all.
Thank you.
Peace.
Much love.